With this one, I wanted to watch because I like Sawman. I like Sawman's content. He recently hit 30k. Man's popping off, does a good job. And now he's talking about why are these types of MMOs dead? My guess is open world, PvP, survival, crafting MMOs. That's my guess. Let's see if I'm right or not.
MMOs are great. Everyone loves them. And better still, there's a wide variety of MMOs to choose from, with each
So you just guessed Mortal Online? Yes.
one catered for a particular clique in the MMO population. From your typical fantasy medieval enjoyer
Hey, Mortal Online, except no one's naked for some reason.
Where to spread wide of this gaping butthole.
to the more degenerate side of the spectrum, your furry enjoyers.
If you don't think WoW is a furry game, you're delusional. It's absolutely a furry game.
Stop looking at
He's right. It is. It's 100% a furry game.
me like that. And yet, there is one theme that no one has quite cracked, which is odd given the culture behind it and where it originates from. I am, of course, talking about the ever so unpopular Wild West themed MMOs. This theme has a dark past, and many players have been sold snake oil whilst the developers rode off into the sunset with their money. But I think I've found the first official, non-scam Wild West MMO, which Lazy Peon and Josh Drive Hayes haven't even covered off yet.
Why didn't you tell me this?
Josh
How the f have they not covered it if this guy found it? Or is he memeing? He's memeing. He has to be memeing.
Drive Hayes.
Already did that.
You seem so proud, I didn't want to bum you out.
So if you're the type of person who's interested in MMOs that no one's ever heard about and nobody watches, then you might just like my YouTube channel,
Oh, yeah.
which is
He does this
also
all the time.
dead and unheard of. Like and subscribe. So the intro out the way, let's
No, I
delve
don't wanna
into
see
the
that.
world of cowboy MMOs. Yeehaw! With the success of Red Dead, it would seem like a no-brainer of an idea would be to make a Wild West themed MMO.
Red Dead was a bang of a game, not like solely based around its mechanics, but because of its story. People, I don't think, are coherent enough to make a Red Dead MMORPG that would be good and have a stable story. Also, I think it would be pretty funny if they made that game and everyone just kept on taking the suffragettes and killing them in town, and then the game would be shut down for racism or whatever. I think that would be brilliant. Not one YouTuber has reviewed Requiem Memento Mori, the gory, bloody MMO. Never even heard of it. I want a new race in Guild Wars 2, which is 3 skrit in an overcoat. That would be great. I'd love that as well. I just want 1 skrit. Just give me 1 skrit. He doesn't even have to be in an overcoat. Make skrit playable races. Let's have some good-looking rat people for once. Maybe I should consider making some YouTube vids showing people how they can game online Linux. Yeah, you probably should. Someone else is gonna like that.
You just have to make Red Dead Redemption, but with MMORPG elements, right? So would you believe it, there has been attempts to make the first ever Wild West MMO. So, in today's video, there are 3 titles I'll be covering off, all in various states of development.
Wild West, Outlaws, Ashes of Creation?
The first of which is Wild West Online, which at one point was very hotly anticipated by the MMO population, with a release date of May 2018.
Literally never even heard of it.
It was a brave choice considering in the same year Red Dead Redemption 2 would be releasing.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
It was indeed a questionable choice, and I'm sure it's nothing to do with the hype around Red Dead and them trying to boost their own sales. So what exactly was Wild West Online bringing to the table, you might be wondering? Well,
Wild West Online is an open-world West-themed MMORPG sandbox game that...
It was indeed a sandbox MMORPG.
There it is. I suppose any Wild West MMORPG needs to be an open-world sandbox game, and that's gonna immediately fail on its face.
They wanted to make sure everyone knew it was indeed a MMO. I mean, in the first section, they labelled it as an MMO 4 times. Now, some of you might be wondering, why have you never heard of this game, let alone see anyone play it? Well, it's for good reason. After release, it received some very heavy criticism, like why does this game not work and where's all the features that you promised? And then what might be a MMO first, in the same year that this game released, it also closed down.
Hey look, it's Ashes of Creation.
So technically it didn't close down, it just relaunched as a completely different title. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you your next Wild West themed MMO, which is of course New Frontier. Take it away, Josh.
New Frontier is an open-world survival MMO set in the American Wild West. It's free on Steam.
This was 2 years ago. No, this was 4 years. Oh my god, I'm living in the past. This was 4 years ago.
And it's just under 9 gigabytes, so let's give it a play.
So what do you do when your game gets negative reviews, doesn't work, and no one wants to play it? Well,
you lie and you spend your entire budget on marketing instead of fixing your game. That's what I learned from Life is Feudal.
You just relaunch it with a different name and you add zombies and a couple of aliens because that makes sense.
We destroyed everything and we're starting over. What the heck? What the? No! Okay, I was wrong. They're like those weird, crazy bug things, dude. They're the alien-looking like monster things I was talking about. This is a Wild West game with aliens. What is this?
Essentially, it's a relaunch of Wild West Online, and just like Wild West Online, it was a very questionable title.
Hold on, I gotta read that.
They're the alien-looking like monster things I was talking about. This is a Wild West game with aliens. What is this?
Essentially, it's a relaunch of Wild West.
These are the same people that scammed people in Wild West Online. They are going to do the same with this. We have a prophet who knows the way.
Online, and just like Wild West Online, it was a...
Guys, don't play this game. It's a scam. All this game is fake. I feel like I'm reading the comments on Life is Feudal. Yeah, where's Django? Where's the slave masters in this game? Imagine. I thought of the best way. To have a Wild West MMORPG, right? So you do your regular thing. You start off, and you go into character creation, right? And you pick your class, you pick your character, and you go into character creation. And depending on where you put the slider for skin color, you either start out as a cowboy in a field, a Native American in a tribe, or some poor fucking black guy in a cotton field trying to escape. And you just don't tell the players that that's going to happen. And then they get into game and they made a black character and they just start in a fucking cotton field. Quest 1, escape. Can you imagine how much of a double take that would cause? That would be so good. You could become a cowboy, but first you gotta escape the fields. And if you make your character ultra white, like take off your shirt and blind people white, you start in the same cotton field as the black players, but your character just starts in the field equipped with a whip. And quest 1 is don't let them escape. That would be the funniest shit ever.
Very questionable title. I won't outright call it a scam for legal reasons. However, both games are no longer listed on Steam, and their websites don't work. So you do the maths on this one. And just because I thought this was funny,
hey, look,
the devs for this title don't even want to play their own game. So the two previous titles being scams and no longer playable, whilst also technically being the same game, I don't think they deserve to have the recognition for being the first Western-themed MMO. Which leaves the door wide open for our next title, Outlaws of the Old West, which at the time of making this video is available to purchase on Steam. It is also labelled as a massively multiplayer survival MMO. It was also released back in 2019 by a reputable company who have made several games which you have likely heard of before. So the other two titles dead in the water, let's take a look at the only surviving Wild West MMO and see if it holds the answers as to why this genre or theme is so dead.
The fact that I've never heard of any of these games, like, I don't think any of them have any level of viability, or they've just been done in such a poor niche way that no one wants to play them. Right? Why would you play this when you can just go play Red Dead Redemption and at least feel like you're in an MMO, because the NPCs act about the same as raid members in WoW.
I had high hopes for Outlaws of the Old West. In order to be crowned as the only existing Wild West themed MMO, it just had to load. And oh boy, we were off to a run.
Ooh, I know the struggle. I've tried very many shitty MMOs, and you see a window box like that and you already know it's going to be a fight. You already know that like 4 hours of your play experience is going to be trying to get the fucking thing to open.
Start. What you're seeing here is an error with BattleEye, which is the built-in anti-cheat system, and it's a common one that's been used on other games such as Destiny and Fortnite. I did try to find a workaround because mine just didn't seem to work, and unfortunately you can't play without it, especially on the official servers. Otherwise,
you know what's really funny about bootstrapping a bunch of anti-cheat systems to your game is that it makes your performance worse, right? And so there are a group of people out there who don't cheat in the game, but all they do is try and find a way to get rid of that shit so they can play their game at a higher level of performance. That's the funniest part about those anti-cheat systems, is they make a worse game.
Otherwise, you get kicked and banned, like so.
What will you learn? That your actions have consequences!
So to get around this issue, I had to dust off my old gaming laptop, uninstall anything that was irrelevant, and pray to the heavens above that being on Windows 10 would be enough to get this title to work.
Anti-cheat stops cheaters the same way knife laws in the UK stop stabbings, filter. And stop shit. And I know you're memeing. But they don't do a goddamn thing. Because while the devs are removing everyone's butter knives, they're leaving Monsanto and his friends with machetes. Because technically they're not knives. That's how that works.
And it was. And all it cost me was my sanity. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that if your game is hard to install, it's likely that people won't play it.
That's disgusting. I can't believe you even said that on YouTube. You see, you just said that on YouTube.
And with that, was ready to start. For realsy this time. I don't use the word shocking very often, but I was shocked to see there's a lot of different servers to choose from, official and privately hosted ones. The only issue was, they all seemed pretty dead. You had a choice as well between PvE.
Fuck. God damn. This game's doing better than I thought it would be doing. A whole 3 players in a server. Man, this game is popping off by most MMO standards. Maybe it's worth a try.
E and PvP both seem just as unpopular as each other. So I opted for the server with the most people, XXX boosted server.
4 people? God damn. Man. This game is popping off.
4 out of 20 people playing. Because nothing screams MMO like a maximum of 20 players at a time. Before I could join the server, I needed to make a character. In typical fashion, I went for a name which would strike fear into my enemies. I give you Plob W Good People. You also get to choose an occupation, which to this day I have no idea what it does. But overall, the customization was pretty bare bones and basic, and nothing too exciting. I mean, you can't even choose your body type. Rip all those body type 3 enjoyers.
No one should be playing body type 3. The only reason to have body type 3 is if you've got a game with a slider in it and you're trying to make the most hideous character possible. If you're trying to make good looking characters, people like me should not exist in them. Right? This is why Once Human not Once Human, what's it? The First Descendant is such a fantastic game because there's no one who looks like me in that game. 1 player and 2 GMs. Are you sure? He just told us that the GMs don't even want to play the game.
And with the character creator out the way, I was ready to immerse myself in the world of Outlaws of the Old West.
Oh nice, you start off taking a dump.
Why is there a fucking dinosaur in the Wild West?
Oh, it's a coffin. I thought it was like a... You know, one of those wooden toilets.
So there I was, in the big, wide, open world of the Wild West, in my long johns, with nothing to my...
Would you consider body type 0 the literal twig? I mean, as long as you're not like a fat, hideous monster like me, I suppose that's better.
name, and no idea what I was doing. So I started to do the survival things you're supposed to do, and I found some wood. Which apparently...
Was this game made in Unity? Because I'm getting Unity vibes from this. I'm getting Unity store asset vibes from this.
provided enough experience to get me to rank 3. I guess they weren't lying when they said it was triple boosted. I then ran into a bear, and I tried my best not to disturb it. But the bear had other ideas.
Yeah, you aggroed him.
Whilst running away from the bear, I couldn't help but reminisce about what Joe Rogan said about bears.
Giant bear head clamped down on your dick and your asshole. And you're going, no! And that's how you die.
And guess what? I didn't want to die, so I ran away. Thankfully, the bear decided it had enough and walked away.
What the dog doing?
My dick and arsehole were very much appreciative of not getting eaten today. I carried on exploring, found some bison, and also noticed the first signs of life on this server. And then there was more life. At which point, I thought I actually managed to bump into another player.
That's more chat activity than you regularly see in hundreds of players in an MMO. Fuck me, 2 messages? God damn. They're screaming into the void and getting a response. Speaking of fat, I managed to lose almost 20 pounds, so congratulations for that. Looks like it was made in the same engine Ark was made. It does give Ark vibes, doesn't it? It does feel like this came straight out of Ark Survival Evolved, and it's just the Western shitty version of it. Like the West Outlaws kind of, you know, trash version of that without the dinosaurs and the cool thing you have in your arm. The run animations look like LS4. Oh, I thought you meant the disease.
Player. So I ran towards them in a non-threatening way. Well, so I thought. It was at this moment I learnt 2 things. Number 1, that's an NPC, and number 2, my health doesn't seem to drop even though I'm being rear-ended by a bison and shot in the face by whatever this is. I think it's safe to say when they said PvE server, they meant a peaceful PvE server. I was actually struggling to kill this bandit. For whatever reason, I just couldn't land a punch on them. Even with my infinite health, this was proven to be somewhat of a struggle. So I decided to craft a weapon with my limited resources. Unfortunately, I only had enough resources to craft a torch, which turns out is not a weapon. So I went back to plan A of trying to fist him to death. At this point, I was pretty frustrated, so I just done the thing that came naturally to me. I ran away. The global chat became a bit more active, someone said hello to me, so I said hello back. And to think, my mum always said I wouldn't make any new friends unless I played outside. Well, guess what, mum? Fuck you. The leveling system was very straightforward. When you leveled up, you got skill points, and these skill points you can put to different attributes. I then crafted some tools because what's a survival game without your tools?
Dude, what's all that stuff you're grabbing?
Why is the generic, here's the Unity asset store, we've got such a unique and special world things, like, just so common? Do these games sell enough to make back the time people spend on making these? Because you could replace all of this footage that he's shown so far with Life is Feudal, and I wouldn't know any better.
Tools! Tools! Duct tape, zip ties, and gloves! I have to have my tools!
I then discovered what looked to be a camp, although I wasn't sure if it was a player made one or just a point of interest. Oh joy, some more NPCs. In a shocking discovery, it turns out my hatchet was enough to one-shot these NPCs.
Oh, nice. Can you get the guns?
Help me.
At this point, I was feeling like Billy Big Balls, but at the same time, I can't exactly die, so where's the challenge? I then went on to mine some rocks and then start to build a camp. And it was probably around about this time I was extremely bored and lonely. So I asked my newfound friends if there was a certain place on the map that players congregated, you know, was there like a player hub? And it turns out there isn't. They did also say this was a fresh server, which meant two things. One, I was very unlikely to run into any mega structures created by other players anytime soon. And two, people apparently still play this game enough to create new servers. I had a couple more NPC encounters where I actually managed to find a gun. It certainly felt better trying to blast people in the face as opposed to running around trying to fist them. As someone who's played a lot of FPS games, the shooting felt a bit off if I'm being honest, like it wasn't the best
You don't say, the shooting felt off in the Unity Asset Store game.
Form of gunplay, but maybe it was just that I hadn't leveled up my accuracy enough. I managed to find some vendors in the middle of nowhere. I don't understand what they were doing congregating by this rock, but hey, I'll take it. And one of them was actually selling mounts, so you bet your ass I bought myself a horse. You actually have the ability to level your horse up, so your horse can gain XP, which will give you skill points, which you can then use to make your horse go faster, or not run out of energy just as quick. So I set off on my newfound furry friend, trying to find the other players on this server. On my travels, I went through several different biomes. I also ran into different...
Imagine shooting your load skew because you forgot to spec into accuracy. Yeah, that's every average dude trying to take a piss in the middle of the night, dude. That's just how it is.
Species of animals, and the views were actually pretty nice. To my amazement, I didn't find a single person. Although the server was only set to 20 people, this map could certainly hold 100 or more. What I probably should have done though, and it would have saved me a lot of time, is to actually check the player list to see if anyone's actually left playing, because it turns out they had all fucked off and I was the only one left on the server, which is fine because I don't want...
See, this right here is the average MMO experience going outside of any of the main ones. This is why the MMO space is always dominated by like 1 or 2 MMOs, like maybe... If you want to look at the top 5 and everything below that, it's like got nobody, because it's got this amplifying effect where the more people there are, the more people it's going to bring in, and everything below that no one cares about.
I want to play with them anyway. I went back to the server list and I joined the only popular server I could see, which was Lone Wolves PvE.
Hey, it's also got 4 players. Man, he's rolling high with these population counts.
I was once again prompted to create a character, and I stuck to the theme of looking homeless but not threatening. Overall, I think I've done a pretty good job, if I do say so myself. Yes, I won't stick out like a sore thumb.
You see? Now that's the character that should start in the cotton field, like I was saying.
I wanted to be sure that this server had some life to it, so I introduced myself within the global chat. Nobody will ever suspect that I'm a dog. To my delight, there were other people on the server, and they all seemed pretty friendly. I thought I'd jump straight in and ask a hard question about the servers and why they seem so dead. Hi Plod. Who the fuck is Plod? I got a reply back of not sure. Hopefully they haven't played since release, because that would be depressing. I can't think of anything worse than...
Hold on, I think I just realized something. Hold on, I just gotta double check this. This might be true, it might not be. This is like... Hold on. No, I can't... Hold on. This is important. This is really important. I just registered something. I can't believe I didn't notice this before. Like, I need to confirm whether this is true or not. This is like serious. Okay, this is like, just give me a second. This is very fucking serious. Okay. Oh my god, I never realized this. He's a fucking he's a VTuber! How did I miss this? He's a fucking VTuber! I don't know how I missed that this whole time. God damn it. Oh, I've got to forgive myself. It's probably because it's late and his boobs aren't big enough. Damn it. Can't believe I missed that. Shit. Completely off topic. Fuck, that took me forever to understand. He's a VTuber. I don't like the Searing Ascent and Chalice of Tears because it feels more reliant on knowing where to go than being mechanically decent. I don't like either because I'm going to spend a week there.
And watching your favorite game die? I mean, drowning's probably pretty bad, right? But my point is, you know, in terms of gaming, it's pretty bad. And I also asked them if they had any pro tips for like a day one guide. And the response was, basically, it's a chilled server, do what you want. The good news was that this one had normal settings, so I did lose health, I did lose thirst, and I did gain experience at a normal rate. So I've got a better feeling as to how progression worked in this game. With sandbox titles, the players are the content, and I had the funny feeling that this server might actually have some content on it. So I asked which way to go to find civilization, just so I can get an idea of what people had built in the past. And with it being a PvE server, there's no real harm in me damaging their property, so they were very happy to give away some coordinates for me to go and check out. And that's exactly what I done. Whilst chasing a goat, I noticed something on the horizon. And it must have been pretty big because it made my game freeze. And there it was, the first signs of civilization, a railroad track. Oh yeah, and a big ruddy cougar.
That's gonna kill him.
I was once again in a fight for my life, although this time I could actually die. I'll be honest, I kinda wish I picked the brown long johns at this point.
Fuck me, this guy swings and misses like me playing an FPS game. Average top raid DPS player, by the way.
And just like
this is why the MMO player base doesn't like action combat, because we can't aim for shit.
That, the beast was done, and I could now go play on the train tracks. So I picked the direction and I just followed the train tracks to see where they could take me. Surely there'll be civilization at the end of them.
It's gonna lead nowhere.
Two things crossed my mind. Number one, where's the train? And number two, what the fuck was that sound? In all seriousness though, it did get me wondering if the person who actually created this train track actually still played the game. I can imagine it took a lot of effort, and it gave me flashbacks to my younger self playing Minecraft and the amount of train tracks made on there to make life easier on realms which, you know, I've not logged onto in over 10-15 years. Because that's the thing, right? You never know when your last time will be logging into a game, and all that you can hope is that maybe you left in a good enough state that some cringe YouTuber won't log on, see your train track, and then try and make a deep, meaningful connection with the audience by playing Minecraft music in the background and using the train track as a metaphor.
He's giving away the formula. He's giving away the secret sauce. Don't do that. Don't do that. Now is probably not a good time to mention Guild Wars 2 has an action camera mode. I know it has a Fortnite mode. I'm bad at it.
In some cheesy monologue. Anyway, I reached what could only be described as a bear valley. It was just loads of statues of bears in a valley. Whilst following the train track, I did find a gun. It was attached to a dead bandit. And quite literally, out of thin air, a bear spawned in and tried to kill me.
Oh, nice.
But I had a gun, so I didn't die.
Hey, and he found something.
After what seemed like an eternity, I did arrive at what could be described as a train station. All that was missing...
No, this is Minecraft music, I'm pretty sure of it.
...was the actual train. I have to say...
Did that train just go backwards? that train just nearly reversed over him. Is the secret source train tracks. For every autist out there, there is a train waiting for them. Trains are like, they're like crack for autists. I don't know why. It's something about the way they're built. It's the tracks. It's the way everything moves together. Man, trains are the secret source for autism.
Hey, I have impeccable timing. I couldn't find a way to get inside the train, so I decided to travel Indian style.
Indian
I also want you to keep in mind that I've been playing this game for a fair few hours, and this was the first bit of civilization I'd properly seen. This was the first man-made structure that I had encountered on any server. As I travelled by train, I got to see how open this world was, and the possibilities there are to just build anywhere and everywhere. I came across another station, I came across a player-built bridge which was pretty impressive.
Oh, now it's going forward.
I even got to fight some more bandits whilst the train stopped to refuel. I ended up having to travel by foot because the train just stopped moving, which allowed me to discover this old fishing cabin, which I assume at one point might have been popular given the amount of amenities and beds that were in this building. But the truth is, this game hasn't been popular in over 4 years.
This year is every single non-popular MMO. Big spike in the beginning, dies. This is the worst graph to see with an MMORPG. Right? This is never what you want to see with an MMORPG. Any healthy MMORPG will do something like this, where you'll have your initial player count, there'll be a drop-off to some level, and then over time, over the years, it'll start to rise slowly as people get more popular, like as it gets more popular and people get more interested, right? But this shit, that's how you know an MMO has no future. Is it just drops and it flatlines and it never comes back from that. Every single time I've seen that happen.
Last major player spike came in 2019. The more I explored this game, the sadder I felt for it. And eventually my adventure would come to an end as I got into a little bit of trouble whilst fighting a badger. No, the badger didn't kill me. The big hairy beast behind it did.
Fucking Joe Rogan.
And you know what typically happens to you when you die in a sandbox MMO?
You start again.
You spawn miles and miles away from your dead body.
What's that, brother?
With nothing in your inventory.
There it is.
When I set out to make this video, the original plan was to review Wild West Online. I knew it had died, I didn't know the exact reason as to why, and I was hoping to find a private server somewhere. But instead, I ended up going down the rabbit hole and finding out about some shady practices. However, despite being a massive scam, it actually promised everything you could want from a Wild West themed MMO. It had a player hub, you could declare yourself a sheriff or an outlaw, it had weapon progression, it had crafting, it had housing, it even had VoIP. And when we look at Outlaws of the Old West, well, it's just a crafting game with a cowboy theme. It misses all the great MMO elements.
Yeah,
I mean, sure, technically it is an MMO, it's just not a very good one. Funnily enough, this game has been in early access since 2019, and
this game's never coming out. This game is never coming out. Ever, ever, ever.
Hasn't had an update since 2020, which might lead some people to consider this title to be a scam. Throughout this whole video, I'm sure a lot of you would have scratched your head and wondered why I don't consider
Hold on, and then you pull a Blizzard and then that skyrocket drops just as fast. No. Okay, so here's Blizzard's mistake, right? So Blizzard's population graph over the years looks something like this. You have the rise, then it peaks out here somewhere after Wrath and Cataclysm, and then the fall, right? And now what should have happened so like over here, there were some bad game practices and they started raping employees and blah, 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 and all of that, right? And what should have happened is they should have had a rise, a dip, and a plateau. And they could have raped employees and they could have done all this other nasty shit and no one would have given a fuck as long as the game was good and coherent. But it wasn't. So it's done that. And every now and then they crank out a new expansion and it does that and then it goes back down. And then there's WoW Classic and then it goes back down. And then there's Casa Classic and it goes back down. So you can see the full graph. So it keeps doing this right now. It's like they're trying to revive the game, but they don't understand that they can't recapture this. Well, I mean, they can't recapture this because all of this shit has fucked the game up. It's also vertical progression. If you took a new player and you tried to play World of Warcraft today, the story is so incoherent and confusing and stressful to try and figure out that no one wants to do it. So all it's got is this aging population and some returning players every now and then after that, no one gives a shit.
Red Dead Redemption 2 to be a Wild West MMO. It certainly has a lot of elements which would make it one. It even has group raids and open world PvP to some extent. However, the internet sees it as more of a 32-player free roam lobby. If we start labelling the chaos of Red Dead as an MMO, we would have to say the same for GTA 5 Online. And that's a video.
GTA 5 Online is probably more of an MMORPG than most MMORPGs that exist out there, or shitty little scam games that put the MMO title in their game. Let's be honest. If you were to rank GTA Online, it would probably rank higher as an MMO with a higher player base and a higher player interaction than most other MMORPGs. So technically speaking, it is an MMO.
Video for another day. But even if we say Red Dead is the ultimate Wild West MMO, it's worth mentioning that it's been abandoned by Rockstar and player numbers are nowhere near as good as GTA. So to answer the question as to why are Wild West themes so unpopular, honestly, I think it's due to the harshness of the theme. Maybe there's no room in the MMO society where your mount is the most important thing and you have to ride it from A to B, and there potentially is like open world PvP, and people could be outlaws or deputies, and you could be as social as you want or antisocial. Hell, you could spend your days talking to your horse. And to cap it all off, you have to fight each other with guns. How silly. Sadly, I don't have a definitive answer, but all I can tell you is that I wish Red Dead Redemption 2 had a better online mode which is more MMO focused.
So do we all. We all wish that would happen, and it's not going to. Because it will be mismanaged and scope creeped into the dirt. The problem isn't the game. The problem is trying to make it online, make it big enough and immersive enough for players. Because if it's not on a constant content treadmill, people will play it, do all the content, get to the end, and then just give the fuck up. That's going to happen, right? It also doesn't have the same elements and mechanics, and the gearing systems are different, and that might make it interesting for a little while. But if there's not that like gambling level slot machine drive that you get from a lot of theme park MMOs, especially with something like this, it will drop off. It absolutely will drop off.
And on that bombshell, I'm going to end the video there. But what are your thoughts? Do you think Wild West themed MMOs should be a thing and there should be more of them? Or do you think they're
They should be, but they won't be.
Dead for a reason? Let me know in the comment section below. I do pretty much read every single comment, even the negative ones. And if you think I have actually missed off a Wild West themed MMO, let me know below. Maybe I'll go back and play it. As always, like and subscribe for more content. A big thank you to my Patreon and YouTube members. And I'll leave a couple of videos on the screen for you now, which you might enjoy. Hopefully, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.
Decent video. I get to be a 700th like. Decent video. Decent. But yeah, it's never coming back. Wild West MMOs are never coming back unless they do a 3-way scenario where it's ninjas versus cowboys versus pirates. So you take the systems of Sushi Ghosts, so Ghost of Tsushima, Red Dead Redemption, and Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and you manage to put that all into one MMORPG. You make the world big enough and wide enough that you can do all 3, and you can go into different zones and all of that shit, and that's never fucking happening, because no one is spending $300 million bare minimum on a budget to try and get that game up and running. And then watch the player count collapse through the dirt because they were using Unity asset stores, and it's just a ripoff of Ark Survival Evolved, like this was. That's just how it is. That's just the way it is.